everyone, Katie from Integration Learning here. Remember to subscribe to my channel or just like a video. Whatever works best for you. Really, it's not that deep. It's not that deep is actually the theme of today's video. I may not be of the ethnic, regional, or age demographic from whence that saying originated. So I'm not trying to appropriate it, but I do love it, and I think it can be helpful when we consider how we approach daunting tasks or challenging assignments. To me, it's not that deep is such a gem of a perspective. On the surface, it can be somewhat synonymous with NBD or no big deal. But I think the sentiment is more empowering and subversive than simple dismissal. The sentence is often spoken by people on the receiving end of criticism or exaggerated accusations. By saying it's not that deep, they're actually reclaiming their power from the person arguing with or speaking with them. Oh, so you thought I was going to react to you copying my outfit and flirting with my partner. It's not that deep, sweetie. In other words, you said or did something underhanded in an attempt to provoke me and make me look like the one put off balance. But what you don't realize is that I'm not bothered or intimidated by your transparent games at all. It's not that deep. This, like everything else in life, will soon pass and be forgotten entirely. Having a major emotional reaction to every manufactured issue is going to leave me psychologically vulnerable and unable to perform at my best. So I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. And this is where it's not that deep comes into the learning environment. I may have mentioned that I'm a tenured community college English professor. After I assign and grade the first essay for all my classes, I hold conferences with students so that we can go over my grade comments. A lot of students become very nervous. They enter the conference space dreading my feedback, as if I am going to drag them, roast them, or read their writing for filth. If I were a lesser educator, I might do just that. But I've never personally found educational value in tearing people down while they're growing intellectually. So I always start feedback conferences in the same manner. I ask students if they're going to remember writing this essay 6 months or a year from now. Guess what their answer always is, unsurprisingly? Of course they won't. So, am I so self-important to think that a bunch of 20-somethings have been waiting their whole lives to apply Quintilian's notion of a perfect orator to a contemporary public figure in 3 to 4 MLA formatted pages? I would hope that I'm not. As soon as my students finish arguing on the page whether Nipsey Hussle or Greta Thunberg is an effective Redder, they never think about it again. And I'm not bummed at that. In fact, I use it as an example of why they shouldn't stress so much about writing, because it's not that deep. And if it's not that deep, then they shouldn't be burdening themselves with stress and anxiety about it before submitting the essay. As I've mentioned in a previous video, stress and anxiety are major contributors to breakdowns in frontal lobe and prefrontal cortex functioning. In other words, the more you stress about how seemingly important or unachievable an assignment is, the more you psych yourself out and succumb to things like procrastination, forgetfulness, lack of organization, or lack of preparedness and planning. And these are major heavy hitters that prevent many students from submitting work. Trust me, I know, I do this for a living. There is truly a paradox at work here. The more you agonize over an assignment, the less effective you become in completing it. And why agonize if that assignment is going to be wiped from your memory the second you see your final grade on it? So instead, when approaching your work, especially the tough stuff, repeat this mantra to yourself. It's not that deep. Get ugly words on the page. Get basic ideas on the page Start wherever it makes sense, whether that's brainstorming minor arguments related to your topic, doing some research to kickstart your ideas, concocting a general argument, whatever. Don't think, just do. No one is expecting you to be as erudite as James Baldwin on day one. And if they are lesser educators. And guess what? You'll forget about them too as soon as the class is done. Shots fired, I know, but I'm not wrong. And so what if you fumble? You know how your memory is short-lived when it comes to this stuff? Everyone else's is too. They won't give it a second thought once the next TMZ headline of their lives hits. Trust me. So don't stress. Just get it done. Even if you think it's ugly. You have time to finesse any skill, but you need to practice to get there. And you rob yourself of practice if you never start because you're too scared. Which means you rob yourself of ever developing your skill. You and your art are too precious. You have too much to contribute to the world to deny any of us your creativity. So when the conferences end with my students, do you know what they say? They say my favorite words. You're right, Professor King. And then they go on to say, this really isn't the end of the world. This assignment, this class, my worries and fears, none of it is that deep. So I'm going to complete the tasks that I need to, that are put in front of me, and I won't be scared. Do you know what happens to those students? They thrive. They succeed. They're happier and more confident in their ability as writers, as artists, and as learners. I hope this video was helpful. Remember to like and subscribe, or you can visit my website at www.integrationeducation.com. And as always, be kind to yourselves.